Hey everybody, it's Rob. So in this video I'm going to be going over the Raymond Monk DPS set. In this video I'm going to be going over the gear, the legendary gems, the stat priorities, the cubed items, and the Paragon point distributions. Sorry, I don't know if the mic is too close or too far away from my mouth. It sounds really loud to me. So in this video, I'm going to be going over a couple of things a little differently than I think most people go over. I'm going to be going over a few alternative gear pieces, depending on your playstyle or how you want to approach the Rift or Greater Rift, depending on what you want to accomplish. I don't really see a whole lot of videos going at the build or the guide at such an angle, so I'm going to do that and show you a few alternatives or just different pieces or skills that you could be selecting, again, like I said, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. I'm also going to be obviously going over the skills, the ruins, and the passives for this build. To give you a really basic explanation as to how this build works is you're going to be using your dashing strike to buff your spirit generators, and your spirit generators are going to be doing the majority of your damage. And you're going to be using your cyclone strike to suck in all the enemies and round them up so you can more easily DPS them. That is a very, very basic explanation, and we'll go more into that as I progress in the video. So to start off, we are going to go ahead and start with the skills. For my left click, I have Crippling Wave and Mangle. Right click will be Cyclone Strike with Implosion. My first button will be Breath of Heaven infused with Light. Dashing Strike, Blinding Speed for the obvious defensive bonus from Blinding Speed. Epiphany, Desert Shroud, again for defensive bonuses. Mantra of Salvation, Agility. We're running a handful of defensive skills because this is a pretty squishy build, so you're going to want to keep all these up as often as you possibly can. But again, we'll go into that a little more in detail here in a little bit. First passive I use is Beacon Vietar, then Alaricity, I think is how you pronounce it. The next one is near-death experience. There's obviously some flexibility with that. That's only if you are feeling especially squishy that day. Next one is Harmony. Near-death experience is often switched out with Seize the Initiative, dealing damage 75%. Dealing damage to enemies above 75% life increases your attack speed by 30%. This will be the skill you want to use for maximizing your DPS to the fullest extent. If you don't feel like you have the survivability or the toughness to survive a higher greater rift and you think you need something to save you in those really bad situations, you can pick near death experience, which I've been running because I've just been feeling lazy lately. So that's a little bit those are a little flexible. You can use whichever one. If you're really pushing, you're probably going to want to use this and a unity with your follower. But again, we'll go into the gear here in a little bit. I'm going to leave the near death experience for now because that's just what I had. So we'll go ahead and move into the gear really quick. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each and every piece. I'll give you a brief explanation of each of the pieces and the reason as to why I picked what I picked. As far as the stat rolls go, obviously first thing you're going to use is set helm, cyclone strike shoulders. I'm not even going to try and pronounce those. Set chest, set gloves. On gloves, I rolled a chance to deal area damage. On shoulders, I just rolled more life because I felt like I needed more survivability. Belt, I'm using String of Ears. Another alternative to that you could use is Witching Hour. It'll maximize your DPS, being as how you're going to want to stack as much attack speed as possible. And it also has crit damage. I am currently using String of Ears for the reduced damage on melee attacks by 30%. I got a maxed roll on that. It's really, really nice for feeling squishy. That'll help out a lot right there. So there's a little bit of flexibility on that too. You can use the String of Ears or the Witching Hour. I prefer the String of Ears because I feel like I'm already doing a sufficient amount of DPS as is. So I'm just using this for now until I feel like I need to break through another higher greater rift level and switch to the higher damage belt. But this is what I'm using for now. Neck, I'm using Traveler's Pledge for the obvious Endless Walk 2-set bonus. Damage reduction, damage increase. Spirit Guards for spirit generators. Increases your survivability, reduces damage taken while using spirit generators. First string I'm using is Convention of Elements. This is another piece that has a little bit of flexibility. You can use this or a unity for solo pushing. Well, for solo play, I should say. You don't want to use a Convention of Elements for pushing. For pushing, you're going to want to use a unity on yourself and a unity on your follower. For casual play or just grinding for quick runs, you're going to want to use Convention of Elements. As you can see, I have my Unity stored right in here for quick access, and I have it on my follower as well. So if I am just grinding and trying to get casual, fast riffs in, I use Convention of Elements. Another thing you could use if you are having trouble generating spirit is the Band of Rue Chambers, I believe it's called. It's a funky name. I don't remember if that's exactly what it is. But the bonus on that ring increases spirit generated by whatever amount of percent, up to 50% max roll, I believe, if I remember correctly. But that's another alternative you can use if you don't have a Convention of Elements or if you don't have a Unity. And obviously the other ring is going to be a Compass Rose to finish the Endless Walk set. Now another thing you can do if you aren't fully geared or optimized yet, you can use a Focus and Restraint bonus. That's perfectly viable as well. But once you get your Traveler's Pledge and Compass Rose, you want to switch over to that for obvious reasons. Next piece, obviously, set legs, set boots. And you can see on a lot of my pieces I'm rolling survivability stats just to counter the whole squishiness or the natural squishiness of this build. And for my first weapon, I have a Shenlong's Relentless Assault, obviously paired with a Shenlong's Fist of Legend for the 2-set bonus on that as well. So you're going to be using the Shenlongs in conjunction with the Raiment set. Your 2-set bonus is going to increase your attack speed by 25% and damage by 100%. 4-set is going to sound kind of bad, but it's just part of the build. Dashing Strike spends 75 spirit, but refunds a charge when it does. So as long as you have spirit, you can essentially dash continuously. So you're going to want to focus this build, obviously, all around generating spirit, because it's going to be spending a lot between Dashing Strike and Cyclone Strike for obvious reasons. And another thing that's going to really be consuming your spirit is the bonus for the Shenlong's weapons. Damage you deal with your spirit generators, and the damage of your spirit generators is increased by 1.5% for each point of spirit you have. So you're obviously going to want to be stacking as much spirit as possible. As you can see, before we move on with that set, both my weapons have maximum spirit on the secondary. Plus to maximum spirit, rather. Moving on. When reaching maximum spirit, all damage is increased by 150%, but you no longer generate spirit. And 65 spirit is drained every second until you hit 0. So again, you're going to want to make sure you are generating as much spirit as possible. So when you're, we're going to move on to the stats with that being said. One of the things you're going to want to make your main stat priority is attack speed, so you can generate as much spirit as possible. I am currently sitting at 1.83. I could definitely be higher. A Witching Arrow would help out a lot right there. And obviously attack speed on the neck helps out a lot. Attack speed on the rings would help out a lot, but it's only a handful of days into the season. I haven't gotten a whole lot of attack speed yet. So I'm sitting at 1.83, but it seems to be working for me just fine right now. When you see what's in the cube, it'll help you see. When you see the cubed items, it'll make a lot more sense. Moving on, we'll go ahead and go into the Paragon points. Right now, I'm stacking Vitality, and usually if I was pushing, I would be going for maximum Spirit, movement speed, then Dexterity, because I'm going to want as much damage as possible. I was just stacking Vitality because I was feeling particularly lazy and I didn't want to die in the runs I was just doing. Offense, you're obviously going to want to prioritize attack speed, cooldown reduction, crit hit chance, and then crit damage. Defense, resist all, life, armor, life regen. Then utility, obviously you're going to want to be focusing primarily on area damage until you have that maxed out, resource cost reduction, life on hit. If you want more life regen, you can do life on hit first, like I am doing right now, or you can reverse it and do resource first. I don't really feel like I need the life per hit, so I should actually stick with resource cost reduction. That way I don't empty my spirit bar as quickly. Oh, I zoomed in. Anyways, moving on. Next thing, we'll go on to the cubed items. First item I have is Flying Dragon, chance to double your attack speed when attacking. That alone is going to make a huge difference with your spirit generation and your just straight up damage output in general. It's going to help you bring in more spirit. It's going to make you crank out an insane amount more damage. It's going to increase your life return from your life on hit, whatever life on hit you may have, which you will be benefiting from one of your gems. You'll see what I mean when we move on to that. Next one, Depth Diggers. Depth Diggers, primary skills that generate resources deal 100% additional damage. That's a huge increase. Absolutely no flexibility on that. That is by far the best piece you can use. And obviously I'm using a royal ring for my third piece to counter the fact that I am not using set shoulders to get my 6-piece bonus, as you can clearly see for yourself. What else have I not covered? I believe that's everything besides the legendary gems. First legendary gem I'm using is Bane of the Stricken. Obviously, it's going to be amazing for killing bosses. There's no real other choice when you want to down bosses with a lot of health. This will make a huge, huge difference. Next one is going to be Bane of the Trapped. Straight up damage increase, amazing gem. And then Simplicity Strength. Increases damage of primary skills by currently 56.5%, and hits with your primary abilities heal you for 4% of your max health. That, in conjunction with the Flying Dragon, is going to bring you in a pretty substantial amount of life. It's not going to keep you alive at all times, but you will definitely notice when you're Flying Dragon procs, you will be getting a very noticeable amount of life return. So that gem is phenomenal for this build, being as how it is basically just a spirit generating build. And as one thing I want to point out, as you can see a buff down here. I have a damage dealt increased by 100% right down there. That's the buff I was talking about with the Endless Walk. As I move around, you see the other buff comes up. Damage taken is reduced. That is the damage reduction end of the Endless Walk set. Just wanted to point that out. I didn't want to leave something out. And you can see right down there I got my Convention of Elements timer going around. All right. So I believe that's about all I got for the build itself. After this video, I'm going to go ahead and include a short little clip of me running a Greater Rift 60, I believe. It's only a 60. It's only a few days in. It's nothing too crazy. But that way you can get a general idea of how the build generally works. Because me just telling you isn't going to explain it. I'll actually let you see me play it and see how it functions and see what kind of damage it does. This is viable all the way up to 90 plus, even 100, if I'm not mistaken. People are pushing with it, or had on the PTR, I believe. So this is a very high-end DPS build for the monk. Currently one of the best builds, if I'm not mistaken. That's about all I have, I believe. Be sure to leave me a comment, a like, and make sure to subscribe. That would really help me out. I'm trying to make this a kind of a part-time job, making YouTube videos. I'm going to get into a lot of other stuff in the future, so if you could subscribe or leave me a comment or a like, that would help out a lot. That's all I got for today. I will see you guys next time.